I hope you enjoy the following special pepisode of PepTalks as we kick off Season 2. Please stay tuned to find out about our exciting new plan to do something no one else out there today is doing. Advance real, positive change in our country that, for once, rejects extreme politics and instead reflects what everyday common-sense Americans like you really want. Thanks for your support, and Happy New Year, everybody. The turning of the calendar is traditionally a time of renewed hope and optimism. While our culture, our communities, and our economy continue to suffer from conflict and division, we must take care to remind ourselves of all the good everywhere around us and to never lose confidence in our ability to make things better. That's an important part of our mission here. Here, our hope for the future is boundless because of our belief in the God-given power of everyday folks, our unwavering faith in you. For 250 years, regular Americans have risen to and overcome every challenge, and in so doing, continually made our nation, and for that matter, the world, even better for the next generation. No matter what the headlines say, I have no doubt whatsoever that we will continue that success for the next 250 years and beyond in our never-ending pursuit of the most fundamental yearning of all mankind on this earth, truly happy lives. Hey everyone, and thanks for tuning in. I'm James Pepe, and this is Pep Talks. You know, the fact that we are optimistic about America's outlook doesn't mean that we're oblivious to all the anger and frustration and unhappiness out there. We see it. We know politics has divided friends, neighbors, even families like never before. We know all about the struggle going on to determine America's direction. And we know that there is great fear that making the wrong choice now may lead to catastrophic consequences for this incredible nation we all love. On the other hand, we also know about America's glorious history of rising up when the chips are down. We recall the way our colonial ancestors overcame their fierce differences and banded together for independence in the face of impossible odds. We recall the way our divided and bloodied nation reunited in the aftermath of a devastating civil war. We recall the way discouraged and dispirited Americans arose from the depths of economic depression, shook off their own problems, and saved the world. We recall all of that and more. And so we understand the inner strength that reflects the true, enduring greatness of America. And that is the source of our confidence. And yet, we are clear-eyed enough to also know that optimism by itself just won't cut it. Believing we will overcome and expecting it to simply happen, as if by magic, would be childishly naive. We need a plan, and we need better leadership. Well, fortunately for you, Pep Talks is here to offer both. In the early months of this show, many of you have commented on our positive outlook and attitude and encouraged us to continue. You've told us how tired you are of all the negativity and how you want to hear more about how we can come back together as an American family to confidently pursue a future filled with opportunity and happiness for all. And you've reaffirmed time and again our belief that we stand alone in our positivity amongst an insincere horde of partisan fear-mongers, hate merchants, and instigators who gleefully stoke and profit from America's troubles in their self-serving, pathetic pursuit of power, fame, and fortune. We appreciate your input and encouragement and hope that you'll keep it coming. Again, however, positivity by itself is not enough. So, before we get to our plan, we must clearly and honestly define and understand the problems and challenges before us. Let's talk about it in the simplest of terms. What's wrong with the way things are compared to the way things should be? Here are three self-evident, inescapable truths that I believe sum it up neatly. 1. Our culture has been hijacked and turned into a battlefield by a small minority of uncompromising extremists, leaving most of us ducking for cover in the crossfire. 2. Our communities are being run by self-dealing professional politicians who profit by keeping us divided and distracted. And 3. Our economy is controlled by an elite few who have made the rest of us slaves to their interests. Now, here's another important idea to keep front and center throughout all of this. Too many of us have been conditioned to believe in what I call radical realism. We look at these three fundamental truths, shrug our shoulders, and tell each other that's just the way it is, and there's nothing we can do about it. We walk away. We don't even try, and nothing changes. Our pessimism has become a self-fulfilling prophecy, and somehow we take perverse satisfaction in telling the so-called naive dreamers, "I told you so." Well, obviously, we couldn't disagree more strongly. But before anything else, we must remind ourselves what it's all about. What is the point of all of it? Sorry to interrupt, but it's really important that I emphasize this point. Subscribing to PepTalks is not the same as following other podcasts. It's not about growing the popularity of the show for ratings and advertising income. It's actually the key first step to our real plan to change the direction of our country for the better. So please, subscribe now, share with your friends, and keep watching to learn more. At the end of the day, what do we want? How should things be? And here's the very simple but crucial answer that all of us seem to have forgotten. I said it before, but it bears repeating. We want and deserve an everyday world that maximizes our ability as individuals to pursue our own definitions of happy lives with a reasonable chance of achieving that happiness. Free to the greatest extent possible from unjust interference. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And how could we possibly give up on that? How could we possibly accept a reality that tells most of us that we just can't have it? How on earth have we allowed ourselves to be convinced that the best we can hope for are fleeting, mere moments of joy, pleasure, and comfort, as opposed to lives of true meaning, purpose, fulfillment, and yes, deep, lasting happiness? Look, the answers to all these questions lie in simple human psychology, right? You know all the excuses, don't you? I'm obviously in the minority, so my ideas don't matter. I'm just one person in a huge world. There's nothing I can do. It's all I can do to keep my head above water. I can't spare the time or energy trying to change something that's never going to change anyway. Someone else will do it. Hopefully, they'll get it right. Blah, blah, blah. The truth is, it doesn't matter how we've come to this place. All that really matters is our determination to overcome that psychological conditioning, to reject that power-draining radical realism once and for all, and to take some simple action to reclaim control over the world around us and our chance to seek and find greater happiness. And that's where PepTalks comes in. If you've seen this show before, you know the numbers. But for those of you who are new, let's quickly walk through it one more time. Half of us, think that there's absolutely nothing regular folks can do to improve our politics and government, so they don't even bother trying. 30% believe that the best we can do is choose the lesser of two evils the power establishment constantly offers us as options. And the remaining 20% are the uncompromising extremists, the obnoxious absolutists who seem like an invincible majority because they're so loud and the media amplifies them with 24/7 coverage. But make no mistake, unless you're one of those extremists, you are an 80%er, part of the true, huge majority that has all the power but sadly doesn't realize it. And that means when we talk about the way things should be instead of the way things are, you absolutely do have the power and ability to make it so. You just need to understand that, believe it, and then come together with the others just like you in that majority behind a practical plan of action. A plan, by the way, that won't undermine the very pursuit of everyday happiness you're trying to improve. So with that, let's talk about the PepTalks plan to change the world and make our everyday lives better. I've been involved in politics for a long time, and I've seen it from every angle. And I've also enjoyed successful experience at the highest levels of business, so I know how that game is played too. At my core, however, is the character and integrity of an everyday common sense American, one who comes from the same place most of us come from, and who has dealt with the same kinds of challenges. So I get it. I know all about life's difficulties. I know how easy it can be to put on the blinders and go to work for weekends of beer and pizza, and if we're really lucky, a comfortable but all too short retirement. I know how tempting it can be to settle for less, to tell yourself that it's someone else's problem, and fingers crossed, your kids will figure it out. But I also know how the system works. I know how the rules are stacked against us, but also how those rules are written and how we can go about rewriting them. I know how we can do this, how we can make the world and our lives the way they should be. And it's not as hard as you think. I call it Pursuit America, as in the pursuit of happiness, the one basic objective on which every single one of us agrees, the one and only thing that really matters in the end. Pursuit America is a simple but brilliant plan to put control of our country and our everyday lives back where it belongs, in our hands. And it starts right here, right now. If you're still with me, then you just might be as sick of all of it as I am. And good, you should be. So here's what you can do right now. Subscribe to Pep Talks on Substack and YouTube. You'll find the links in the description below. If you're seeing this on one of your social media channels, follow and like us there as well. Now wait, before you start thinking that this is just another scheme to attract clicks, views, and follows, just like all the shameless hucksters I mentioned earlier, not so fast. Pep Talks and Pursuit America are truly different. First of all, our content is free, though we certainly do welcome and are grateful for voluntary donations to support the mission. Second of all, and most importantly, Pep Talks and Pursuit America represent real, practical solutions, whereas most everyone else offers nothing more than their own sensationalized spin on the problems, fueling the destructive outrage to which so many seem to be addicted. When you subscribe to Pep Talks and Pursuit America, it's like signing a powerful petition that actually works, with the growing subscription and follower numbers forming the strong foundation of our bold plan to influence positive change. In other words, with a simple, no-obligation click, you'll do what I mentioned a minute ago. Combine your single voice with others just like you to visually show the power establishment that the real majority, the common sense majority, is waking up, and that they can't ignore us and take us for granted any longer. That's step one. That's it. But if I can push my luck just a little bit more, I'd also ask you to go a half step further today by sharing this video with your network, along with a short personal note urging other Common Sense Americans to join you in your support. That's how our numbers and power will grow even faster, and the change we all seek will occur sooner. Because in today's political environment, nothing influences action like social media numbers. So if you're one of us who's unhappy with the way things are, the way our country is going, simply subscribing to Pep Talks and getting a few of your friends to do the same amounts to the easiest first step you can take to begin the process of changing things for the better. What do you have to lose? Once again, guys, this is critical. Your free subscription to Pep Talks and Pursuit America means so much more than just boosting our popularity. The success of the programs that we will roll out in the coming weeks depends upon a show of force from CommonSense Americans, people like you who have had enough of today's extreme politics and are ready to stand up and be counted. So please, subscribe and share now, and keep watching to learn more. And while you're doing that, and those numbers approach critical mass, we'll be preparing the next step of our action plan to turn those numbers into simple but powerful action. Pursuit America's Strategic Action Plan is our vision for a way to harness the power of social media to bring America's CommonSense majority back together and get our country back on track. The mission will leverage those growing numbers through innovative programs designed to amplify our collective voice. We'll define and clearly articulate our common sense agenda for change, and we'll identify, train, and support a new generation of trustworthy leaders authentically committed to serving our shared interests. With your support, Pursuit America will be the vehicle for reclaiming the power of everyday Americans and controlling and directing it back to our most fundamental and timeless purpose, supporting our efforts to build and enjoy fulfilling, happy lives. Simple. Let me begin to wrap up by summarizing our appeal and asking one more time for your trust and support. PepTalks and Pursuit America are genuine mechanisms for writing a new, common sense rulebook that promises the opportunity for improved, happier lives. What they are not is politics as usual. If our efforts here were typical politics, I promise you, we would not be this transparent. Rather, we would be trying to scare you with gloom and doom. We would be reinforcing your powerlessness and telling you that we're the only ones who can fix America's problems. Frankly, we wouldn't be talking to you at all. If we were just like everyone else, in it only for social media fame and fortune, chasing clicks for ratings, advertising, and ego, we'd be slinging red meat at the extreme zealots who are far easier to trigger and get money from if you're simply willing to pander to their passions. But we're not willing to do that. That's what the corrupt power establishment does. But the very fact that we're taking the hard road, appealing to you and others like you who have your hands full just trying to get through the day, working to convince you of your true power to make things better, despite the heavy weight of everything that tells you you're helpless. That should tell you all you need to know about our sincerity. In the coming weeks, we'll be providing you with further details on Pursuit America's practical plan and next steps for how you can be a part of our exciting and hopeful mission. You'll learn about the America Pact and our Leadership Academy. You'll get in on the ground floor of our People's Convention and interactive docuseries. And you'll gain unprecedented opportunities to make your voice heard and move our country in a direction you can finally be happy with. If you'll just stay tuned, subscribe to PepTalks and Pursuit America, and encourage your friends to do the same. And most importantly, overcome your disbelief while trusting your inherent power. I promise that you'll be amazed at the simplicity with which we can and will make things better. So again, understand, today represents a first step. Take it. Subscribe to PepTalks and Pursuit America. Send our links to your friends. Help make our numbers impossible to ignore. And let me add this preemptive note. The haters are going to hate, so I would encourage you to just ignore them. There's only one reason why anyone might attack, criticize, and belittle our efforts, and that's because they actually like the way things are. After all, how could anyone besides those extremists be so adamantly against efforts to make life better and happier for everyday folks? Yes, PepTalks and Pursuit America are ambitious. Yes, they are gloriously idealistic. And yes, they propose the most profound challenge for America in a generation. But you know what else they are? They're absolutely necessary. America, we, the people, cannot continue to sleepwalk down our current path. We just can't. Down deep, You know that. Something must be done. And it would be the height of irresponsibility to keep our heads in the sand and let it be our kids' problem. We must step up to the challenge now, and there's not a better plan anywhere to be found. So one last time, where's the harm in signing up? Subscribe, share, like, comment. Join us in sending that loud and clear message. The common sense majority is waking up, and we're coming. As we take this next important step, turning our bold ideas into a simple, practical, smart strategy for real change, we want to thank you once more for your generous and thoughtful consideration. We'd be proud to have you on our team, and we look forward to working with you to make America better and our everyday lives happier. For Pep Talks, I'm James Pepe, America's voice of common sense, reminding you to stay proud, get loud, and never, never, never forget what it's all about. Our ongoing, ever hopeful pursuit of happy lives. Thanks, everyone.